Grayson County Economic Development Authority meeting for Tuesday, March 19th. We'll call roll in just a second, just so that everybody's on the same page. Hard stop with 5:45 to get the next meeting in here. So please forgive me if I try to move some things along, because there is there's a lot to cover here, and we want to get through it all as we can. Roll call for today. Chris Butler, chair, is here. Todd Kennedy
here.
Jason Baumgartner
Here.
Justine Jackson Ricketts
Here.
Gary Rasco here. Wow, you didn't make the last. You didn't make the last meeting notes, Jonathan. So I'm not sure I see all that. Jonathan Warren
Here.
Elizabeth Hash is absent today, and for staff, we've got Steve Boyer, Mitch Smith, Nikki Edwards, we've got Lindsay Young, Tracy Cornett, Deb Jones is on via Teams, and Darren Young, sorry. Darren is here as well.
I made motions, I just wasn't here, Chris. I made motions, I just wasn't here.
Oh, that's understandable.
Let's make them talk.
I don't know how you can vote. I think, yeah, that's fine, and so in this case, to that point, we will approval of the regular meeting minutes for February 20th. Or I'm sorry, that was the special call. Well, so that was the February 20th meeting that I'm not seeing. So I guess I'm not. So the March 5th meeting you were at. All right.
The March 5th, I was absent. That's the special call.
Oh, okay. All right. Special call. So we want to approve both meeting minutes in this, and I do think we need a note on the February 20th under members absent. Jonathan wasn't absent. If everybody's okay with that. He was absent.
Present.
No, not at the February 20th. You were absent.
I was here February 20th. I made the motion.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. You're right. My fault.
The minutes for the 5th are correct, I think.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
So on February 20th, he was present. So I want to move this along, and I'm the one dragging it. So we've got the February 20th meeting, regular meeting, and then we had the special meeting on March 5th. Do we have a motion to approve both with Jonathan Warren added to the February 20th? So moved. Do we have a second? Second. All those in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? One thing, motion that it's a very small thing, but we might as well change it under new business. Instead of ASR, it's ARS. I'd like to make sure that the agenda shows ARS project instead of ASR. We will put you after the presentation. You good with that? Normally you go.
Yeah, that's fine.
You're here for the.
You're the duration.
You're enduring it all.
I am.
Right? Maybe you put yourself as far down so that
No,
5:45 comes and you're good.
I didn't. I can assure you.
Presentations. We have Wes as a jury. Is that how you say that? Mr. Jury, are you with us?
I'm with you. I don't know if you can see me or not, but I'm definitely with you.
There you are.
There you are.
And is that how you pronounce your name, sir?
Yes, jury, just like in court.
Perfect. Mr. Jury, the president and CEO of Redemption Bridge, and Mr. Jury, we will give you the floor for your presentation. And as I don't know how long it is, so please don't be insulted, as I say, if we keep it as brief as possible so we can move through everything.
Well, I understand. I would agree that perhaps 15 minutes. If you want it short, I'll make it short.
15 minutes is great. Thank you, sir.
Well, correct only one thing. I am the CEO of Redemption Bridge. That's one nonprofit I've had, but I'm really here to talk to you as the CEO of the Maytag Foundation. And I'll be as brief as I can. I've been involved in running nonprofit corporations most of my career. And my career began in 1960, and that gives you a sense that I'm truly not a spring chicken and don't pretend to be. But I tried to retire once, it didn't take, and so 6 months later, I retired myself. I was also the founder of the ATIC Foundation at the request of the U.S. Department of Agriculture in the 90s and into the 2001-2010 era. I was a federal partnership intermediary for 4 federal agencies, including agriculture, defense, transportation, and energy. Those were contracts that the secretary of an agency can give to a nonprofit to help them further their research outcomes, help understand that people can license technologies discovered in federal labs. And in 2011, a lady named Catherine Lotecki, the undersecretary of the USDA, asked me as the only private funded intermediary of the 8 USDA intermediaries who could form a nonprofit foundation, putting the 8 of us together and working effectively because the other 7 were state funded. Meaning the Kansas Finance Authority was not keen on a state funded entity working in Nebraska. I know that surprises you.
Mr. Jerry, let me ask a quick question, and that is, I don't know if you're moving around, because every now and then it sounds great, and every now and then it doesn't. So if there's a mic closer, we'll take it. Okay. If there's a mic closer, we'll take it.
And I'll try to stay as close to this as I can.
That sounds great, right there.
Okay. In 2016, we, the ATIP Foundation, were asked to join the Federal Biomass Research and Development Board, 7 federal agencies, and the White House of Science and Technology Policy to help release a national report on federal research done by those 7 federal agencies collectively. The focus of the research was how to take and form the bioeconomy. And my layman's description of that is, how do you take every possible form of biological-based waste and convert it to something you can sell? Whether it's municipal sludge, cow manure, wood forest chips, it doesn't matter. What can they be made into, and what are the technologies for the conversion? And that's advanced significantly. And in 2018, we were asked by USDA if we could build a sustainable, scalable, and replicable model to build the bioeconomy as an industry cluster in rural regions of America. And in that sense, our model is very basic. We come to a state, and in the first year, we do our research. We build a GIS database. You asked me today, as a company looking to come into Southwest Virginia, where I could come. I'd asked you what you wanted to convert and how much you needed. You told me you needed 100 tons of wheat and cow manure. I could pull up the GIS database. I asked you what you're going to convert it into. It's going to be natural gas, energy, fuel. You pull up a map, and if you tell me that you need 100 tons of wheat in a 15-mile radius, and I'll show you every point, 13 counties in Southwest Virginia where you can locate me within a 15-mile radius and 100 tons of cow manure. And I'd show you where the electric grid is. You can insert it into it, like electricity, where the natural gas lines are. You can insert it into it. That's what you made, and how to get your people to the marketplace. Once we put together that first year, we and state agencies and others like the Tobacco Commission was on board with us. Then in the second year, and that's where we're at now, we began reaching out to local economic development corporations, regional economic development corporations, community colleges, cities, counties, every stakeholder imaginable or growing any kind of an economic development base. And we began providing technical assistance to them. I want to be upfront with you at the start of this to say, this is not an ask for funding in any way, shape, or form. We're funded by USDA to do this. So we come into the regions. I've told many of your EDCs that think of us as an adjunct to your staff, except you don't have to pay us. We will work with your staff. We will help them recruit companies into your region. We will help support companies in your community colleges and school districts to build training models that are needed for the bioeconomy. Because that's again what USDA has asked us to do, create replicable models across the country that will help local rural regions grow the bioeconomy as a viable way to build the agriculture and economy in their sector of the country. So I could go into more detail, but I think that's what I've told every one of the economic development corporations today I've talked to. 13 counties in Southwest Virginia, which is meant to be first and foremost as an organization you don't pay to provide you with ongoing technical assistance to help you, your board, and the organizations in the area you serve understand how we can work together to build a viable economy, economic growth and development in the county, multiple counties or regions.
Mr. Drury, you've talked to the to 13 so far, whether either we're the 13th or 14th, but regardless of that, have any taken you up on that, and how have they utilized your services?
We're in that formative stage, and there's not one today that said no. I think this is my 9th organization to talk to out of the 13 counties. The other 8 I've talked to have all said yes. I'm sure you're all familiar with CCALS. They're one of our primary partners. The Virginia Coalfield Economic Development Authority is a partner. The Cumberland Planning District is a partner. The Tobacco Commission is a partner, to give you a few examples. I've talked to some of the SBCs. One lady told me she was a sole employee and she would be more than happy to let me help her for no cost. We're beginning to talk to the community colleges. My background, including running economic development, serving in a variety of appointed positions in both state and federal agencies. And that's essentially what we bring to the table. I have 2 key partners. Todd Campbell, who was Chief of Staff for Rural Development at USDA during the 8 years of the Obama administration, a Special Assistant to the Secretary of Millsag. A man named Rick Brenner, who was the #2 man at the Agricultural Research Service and personally oversaw the 90 USDA federal labs, and we're bringing you together over 100 years of experience. But again, we come to you at no cost. I've asked several of you to say, if you want me to work with you at no cost to you, I will, and if you don't want me to, I understand. But I've not had it turned down yet, sir.
Okay. Other questions? Well, people think about it. I guess my next one is if we say we want to move forward, and I mean, there's obviously no downside to it to help move, to help see what the county is. What is the next step to do that? What would we say? Yeah, let's go. Where do we do? How do we do that? What's that look like?
Your board decides to go forward. You start introducing me to the public school district, the community college, stakeholders like that. We want to be sure the city council's briefed, the county's briefed on what we're doing, because they all have a role to play. And if you think about economic development and building an industry cluster, you have the wealth generating companies, the ones that are actually going to convert the waste into wealth. You have the suppliers and service providers they need, and we work with you to bring them into your region or to identify what's in the region that could be that. For example, I've found very few rural banks that understand they can be a USDA, a government guaranteed lender, just like an SBA government guaranteed lender. I had a conversation once with the executive vice president of Regional Omaha Bank when we were putting together national forums in 2016 and 17 to introduce all this in the U.S. And he said, Wes, we don't make ag loans. And I looked at him and I said, sir, there's a major biofuel refinery near LAX that was built with a $250 million USDA loan guarantee. And before it was even construction began, they had 100% of their annual production pre-sold through offtake agreements with the Department of Defense and LAX Airport. Now, you're telling me you would not have wanted to pay that loan? He said, no, I'm telling you all that before and understand this. That's what I mean by technical assistance. We try to help your elected and appointed officials understand this and the role they can play. I often ask, well, why would you talk to them? I said, because they be able to pay for the infrastructure needed for any industry. We work with academia, we work with your financial service providers, we work with your public ed, higher ed, and workforce sports to help them understand what they can do. We bring them resources and curriculum they may not know exist. We will directly work to recruit companies. We work to recruit on a national scale. We bring those companies to the areas we're working in, and we introduce them to your local economic developers. When we get leads, we share them within the region to see who has what they could. And again, we've used our GIS database to help identify where we know they can locate. And we'll come directly to your EDC to talk about, here's a company. They're in Ohio. In fact, I've got one right now that's coming to Virginia from Ohio. We recruited them. And they're going to be working with us to find a place to locate, to and start converting basically some kind of biomass, either cow manure, chicken litter, whatever. And they're looking at which they want to do, and they're going to set up some portable digesters to set an example of what they can do in the region. But all you do when you begin is that we are getting ready to launch a monthly meeting for all of the local organizations interested to keep you informed, to help collaborate, to help beginning to build this model literally in 13 counties. It's a 1-hour virtual meeting. That's really the only thing we ask of the EDC, that your executive director, president, CEO spends 1 hour a month with us to understand the things we can do, and then interacts with me and my team to help us reach out, acquaint the other organizations in your community with that resources. I'm going to be coming in for an in-person meeting sometime later this spring or summer, so we can bring the region together and talk about the resources that can come from these federal agencies. We've had farmers want to know if they can get involved in converting their own manure. The answer is yes. Many of them don't know USDA will directly grant funds to them to help buy the digesters and let them use them. So it's as simple as you saying, yes, we'd like to be a part of your project. Yes, we're willing to meet with you. Yes, we know that we're not going to write you a check. And yes, we know that primarily we're going to interact with you to introduce you to resources within our region. You can better inform about the opportunities for that.
That was like drinking from a fire hose, if I'm honest.
That's a lot of information, but
But there's, yeah.
my thoughts are, obviously, there's a whole lot to take in right there, but to set up a future meeting, even though we can just vote on that, but to say that we're interested, I mean, that's up to everybody to.
Yeah.
But there's no reason, at this point, why not to set up future meetings and to look further into it, vet this company process.
So I guess we're looking at this point for a motion to, for the, and the company itself in this case is ATIP, is that correct? Am I?
The ATIP Foundation, we're a 501(c)(3) corporation.
A motion to, for us to partner with ATIP. I will go to the monthly, the once-a-month meetings if I can. I'll get Todd involved in that. But if anyone has any questions or wants to discuss it further, we can. I see no downside to it, but it's up to.
Yeah, I mean, I can make a motion. I might word it a little different as far as partnering, but I'd like to make a motion to pursue a relationship with ATIP, which would mean future meetings as soon as you can come to further investigate and explore the potential of a partnership. That would be my motion. I don't know if there's any other conversation or comments or thoughts.
When's your next meeting, Mr. Drury, that I could jump on your 1 hour seminar?
We're going to be setting the first one on next month, probably the second or third week, and we'll be putting out an announcement very quickly. I'm also going to send your executive director several documents you can start disseminating among the board and anyone else you want to see.
Okay.
But these meetings will begin in April for the first time.
Okay.
I'll second Todd's motion.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Mr. Drury, thank you. I look forward to work to get jumping on there and to finding out more about it. Any information you can pass on is great. Again, it's a lot to take in, obviously, in 15 minutes, but we look forward to trying to understand it more.
Sounds like a great opportunity.
Yeah.
I fully understand what you're saying. I know I just put you through a fire hose, and we're trying to be a little gentler.
That's all I ask.
We just appreciate you bringing the fire hose.
Yeah. We can't learn without it. So thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. I look forward to working with you.
Thank you, sir. So do I. Kevin Spurgeon, you've got the Ag and Natural Resource, or the Economic Impact of Ag and Forestry in Grayson County report. What do you want to give us?
Yeah, just, what the program is.
Wherever you want to go, man.
This work?
You're back to be us, to us.
Okay, very good. Basically, I just put together some highlights, some bulleted points here for you all to digest. I'm not gonna do much of a formal presentation, but certainly I'm here to answer questions, maybe provide a little context or perspective on some of these numbers. I'm not gonna go through all of these bullet points, for the sake of your time, but I do want to highlight a few things. First and foremost, the Census of Agriculture is done by USDA, comes out every 5 years. The most recent census was done in 2022. That data was just released last month. So it takes a couple of years to actually get that compiled, or a little over a year from the conclusion of that crop season. And so what I'll draw your attention to is compared to 2017, which was the previous census of ag data, until 2022, I think the big thing to note is we went from basically $40.8 million in, this is just in gross value of products sold, up to a little over 76 million. That's a tremendous jump in 5 years, 86%. We also lost 100 farms during that same span, okay? That's significant.
Not to, I'm gonna ask questions as we go, I guess, if you don't mind, but not, and not to drag it out forever, but lost 100 farms. How do you say, what do you mean by
Farm businesses that no longer exist.
They had an LLC, they're no longer an LLC, and they're moving on.
And so, again, the other thing I highlight there, most of the places that I look for, economic impact, they use the multiplier of effect of basically 45 cents above every dollar there. So $1.45 on these agricultural goods that come back to the local economy. And that would make the local impact here is over $110 million. Again, those are significant numbers, and I think they back up when we say agriculture is key in Grayson County. I think these are the data points that we use to say that. Another number that I'll point out to you, and I think this is one that we talk about, but to actually have a data point, almost 53,000 acres of our total farmland are almost, we're a little over 42%. So, I've kind of off the cuff said about half of our farmland is rented land, not owned by the operator. And we have a lot of land that, generationally gets passed to heirs that do not live here anymore. And so those non-resident landowners, they pay taxes here. They're looking for ways to get some revenue out of that land. And so rent is a big part of our local ag economy. Certainly our average farm size, we had more land in farms, even though we had fewer farms. So we see consolidation happening here within the existing farms. A couple of demographic points, there were actually more female operators in those last 5 years. They increased while the number of male operators actually went down dramatically. 61% of all operators have some off-farm income. So what you all do here, and we do as a community for economic development outside of agriculture, impacts agriculture. Because most of these folks that are farming are working off farm unless they're already retired, which many of them are, based on the next couple of data points, which is that the average operators worked on a farm of some sort for almost 25 years. And the average age of farms increased yet again and now stands at 58.8 years old. Our farming population is an aging population.
Just like the entire county.
Yes.
We have to get younger all the way around. Before you turn the page, some questions, and anybody can chime in. But it would appear as though while we have had a great increase, an 86% increase over 5 years in goods sold, if I read this right, we had a 102% increase in costs.
Yes.
For the farmer as well. So we're still upside down basically in the increase in what we're doing. The other thing that is of interest in here, whether you like it, don't like it, doesn't matter. That's not, I'm making a point of what I read. The other thing that is of interest in here is that now, 56% of our crops are 56% is in crops, Christmas trees, or nursery, and 44% livestock. Where in 2017, that was only 26% and 74% were livestock. So the crops, the trees, the nurseries have gone up 100%, and the livestock has gone down. Yeah, as exponentially.
I just wanted to clarify something. He said something that farms or LLCs, this includes all farms even if they're not LLC, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, all valid points, and yeah, so the impacts of things like the conversion, land conversion, and those land policy issues come into play when we see such big shifts in what is being grown, and values of such things impact that. I'm not going to go through these individual ag industries per se. Some are shrinking, some are growing. I will mention, even though we don't have these numbers yet, as far as where Grayson County stands relative to other counties and localities in the state of Virginia, or nationally, I do know that Grayson County's relative to Christmas tree production, cut Christmas tree production is number one in Virginia, and likely, given the growth in that particular area, is probably a top 10 county in the whole nation at this point. Because we were just outside of that in 2017, and clearly that has increased.
You left off a sentence there, which is pretty impressive, and that's even with much of the data reported in North Carolina.
Exactly.
So we're number one, even though a big percentage of that is still reported in North Carolina, even though it's probably done here.
And I think that's an important point to remember, that the census data gets reported back to the residents of the operation, if you will. So a lot of these, or a lot of the farms that we know that are doing Christmas tree work in particular, are operating in Grayson County, but their home base is in Ash and Allegheny. That works the same way with, across all sectors, farms that are operating in North Carolina but are housed here. I will just note that is less common, that Grayson folks are working down there. The value of that is certainly not quite as high.
It's just captured there as far as census, not as far as taxes.
Yes. I thought it was very interesting. They captured the equipment value, and so that's where some of these costs and efficiencies of scale kind of hurt us in Southwest Virginia. It's our mountainous terrain and things like that. It's hard to find tillable farmland, and then we have to offset the capital cost of big pieces of equipment with little farms, and it makes that a challenge. But just in Grayson, it was reported 64 million in total farm equipment value compared to 49 million in 2017. So you can see the inflation, both in what is happening with our revenue side, but also the costs, both operationally and capital. Government payments are a huge part of what subsidizes our local agriculture, and in particular conservation programs. And so I'll kind of highlight that one. USDA, both the Farm Service Agency and Natural Resources Conservation Service, they have farm bill programs where they put conservation out into the Twin County region. At the state level, you have the New River Soil and Water Conservation District, which they work under the Department of Conservation and Recreation. It's the money passes through them, through to the districts, and about $1 million just in Virginia is budgeted here in Carroll Grayson area, and that conservation money is only going up it has not been trending down. It's been trending up. A lot of that is due to the fact that a lot of that's driven by the Chesapeake Bay. Even though we are not in the Bay, it still drives a lot of that funding. And so that's, that money comes in, and, a great example of that is, you have that much money coming into our local economy, and we're doing fencing projects or cover crops or whatever, but particularly the fencing, there's several fencing contractors out here. They're making a living doing these projects, and it's driven by kind of having a known source of revenue coming from these conservation programs. So,
Government number jumped quite a bit. Is any of that driven by COVID and money that came in during that time, or is that, we don't know that?
I don't know that, but I mean, when I first saw that, that's what jumped to my mind there.
So it could, in the next one, go down, and we'd have to understand,
right,
whether we're all here or not, to understand that there was a big increase because of that money was being handed out.
Exactly. I did put a little bit of information here on forestry, not so much economic data. I didn't really have that excessive wood stock part of the census of ag. But Donnie Garman with the Department of Forestry, many of you know him locally. We've been pulling together some data for the county comp plan. I'll just point out just these changes in ownership class. So these are acreage figures, forest land ownership. And as you can see here, this most recent data, that was actually 2023 data. So between 2013 and 2023, you can see there's been an increase in total forested acres. And that could be just simply in national forest land. We were talking about that this morning in our ag advisory meeting. National forest or state forested lands that may have been in an open meadow that they just let grow up into forest, basically natural reforestation, could be part of that increase. One thing that really sticks out to me is a 4,000 acre decrease in privately owned acreage. And some of that could be conversion, taken out of forest and put back in ag, put into development. Some of that could have been, and we know that there are a couple of parcels that have been taken out and gifted to the state. And that takes it off tax rolls, and that kind of thing. So there are some impacts of those types of changes. With that, I won't read off all these numbers to you. Is there any questions, any perspective that I can share? Anything you'd like to know more about?
That's a great report. A ton of information. So thank you for putting it together. Your question?
You're welcome. I don't know that I have done this in the past, or anybody has really tried to compile this to share with you all, or with our county leadership, truly what's going on in our ag sector here. So
one of the things we hear all the time is agriculture is the number one thing in the county, right? And that's fine, but I've never seen the numbers. You see the numbers on it, and you see it's by far.
I've got one question. So Christmas tree revenue, say, some of our biggest producers are based out of North Carolina, right? Mm-hmm. So do they pay their taxable income off of what they grow in Grayson County to North Carolina through their gross business taxes?
Yeah, I would assume so. They would pay taxes there on their income, their business taxes.
So what directly do we gain off of them other than just goods and services that they get from other outfits here?
Yeah, fair question. I think I think about 21 Grocery.
So, but it's just our implanted businesses that are gaining off that versus our local farmers that live here growing beef or growing personal Christmas trees that actually pay into the Virginia tax base.
Well, it's all of them. I mean, we've got fewer growers here. growing Christmas trees that are local, but those have expanded just as most of the farms have. You know, the labor force can be shared around to some degree. Some of that goes on. I mean, I think those impacts, you know, there's quite a few of them there, you know, as far as those goods that are purchased here at some of these local businesses. Kind of hard to put a finger on it. You know, if they own property here, you know, they're paying taxes here. You know, if they're renting land at a higher rate, which they typically do than if it was just grazing land, for example, you know, that's going to that landowner, or, you know, that are paying those taxes here. So
It's not hard to understand based off the numbers that you see why renting of land is up, you know, as that crop goes up as well. So,
yeah, big changes. I didn't really go into this. Grayson County historically is known as a dairy county, a tobacco county, Burley tobacco. Burley is extinct now. Dairy nearly is. We have more pumpkins. We have more cottage produce and food production now than we used to. You know, the Independence Farmers Market is really a feather in our cap, something to be proud of. You know, so we've seen those changes over time, and I think what's imperative is that we work collectively. You know, Lindsay's office, my office, and others trying to anticipate, you know, what can Grayson do and be in the future. Agritourism is a big part of that. We, you know, we're not going to grow 100-acre potato patch. I mean, that's not our niche. But we got to find things that do work here.
looking at this, we also have to come up, whether it's us or whoever it is, with something to keep the younger people here and not have 58.8 go to 65.2 next time, or else we're in serious trouble. So, you know, Ty Hash, Levi Johnson, people like that, Andy, you know, Andy doesn't live here, he has a farm here. You know, those people that are younger that want to be in the farming industry, we've got to figure out a way to keep them and how we do that. Any other questions? Kevin, thank you very much. I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you all.
I'd like to entertain a motion to move ARS project to after the welding center, and that way Superintendent Wilmore doesn't have to sit through what is going to be the majority of our time in I think, in this, which is the ARS discussion. If anybody would like.
So moved.
Any seconds? Second. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? We're gonna move ARS to the last business. And move the other up. Stephen Kit Marshall, we have them here. Do we know if they were, you said they might have joined? Yeah. All right. Mr. Wilmore, you just got moved up even more.
Oh, I like it.
That's
That's better. Thank you.
Uh,
Appreciate it.
I'll start briefly by saying I got a call last Sunday from Todd Kennedy, and Todd brought an interesting project that Superintendent Wilmore had called him about, and that was a welding center here in Grayson County to try to keep our people our local kids in this area. Todd and I talked for quite a while on the phone, and a lot of that is keeping them at RPM, keeping them at places where they can make a good wage and be ready to go on day one when they come out. We also talked about the fact that we would like to partner with RPM, and I think that is a possibility in discussions that everybody has had. What I think we want to accomplish today is understand what Superintendent Wilmore is talking about, what he's asking for, just as everything else we've done, we will take away from that, over the next 30 days to dig into that more and to get you more information so that in the April meeting, we can discuss how we fund this and get more information on it and be ready for May to give our recommendation on funding. That's all. Did I miss anything in there?
No, that's.
Leave it to you, sir.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Kelly Wilmore. I'm Superintendent of Grayson County Schools. I've been Superintendent of Grayson County Schools since 2015, December. And I guess I'm the one that's in charge, whether I like it or not some days. But today, I'm here trying to do a couple new things that we're trying to work on. And what we're trying to do is get some funding and some additional funding to renovate our welding bay. We have welding bay as part of our agricultural program. It runs through the ag program, but the problem is we've never had really a full-time welding program in several years, at least in the 8 years I've been here. We do it as just a small part of the curriculum with ag and our FFA program. And what we want to do is try to improve this program and actually have at least 2 blocks to 3 blocks a day. And we'd also like to perhaps look into, with additional funding, and if WCC will come through for us, adding an evening class for adults as well. So just a little background here. Flip the next one. Request for funding. This is the Cape Welding Renovation Lab. What our purpose is to add welding as a vocational course at Grayson County High School. We currently do not have that as a separate course. We'd like to add an evening course of welding to the community. Next one, sir. Fees, just so you know what we're looking at as far as the money that we're trying to put together. Architectural and engineering fees alone is $55,000, which we have already started the process on that. Equipment, you're looking at $167,290, which includes welders, welding stands, iron worker. Welders are about $11,000 a piece, minimum. Some we've looked at are about $12,500. We currently have 8 welding stations, and we want to extend to 12 welding stations. Wiring, masonry, block, curtains, ventilation is about $50,000. All demo and setup as far as the block, as far as the masonry and the wiring will be done by our maintenance crew, which will probably save a fortune. I'm guessing probably at least $50,000 in that realm at least. We've got really good maintenance crew. If you don't know, 2 of them are incredible masons, and I have 2 of the best electricians in the county that work for us. So we're doing a lot of the work ourselves. What we need to get together, of course, is the plans, being able to get the equipment. And also from there, we're of course going to have to go in. If you'll look at, go to the next one, pretty please. This is the current lab we have, and that's the pictures you have in the gray, not the red ones, but the gray ones. And I bought you pictures because, as they say, pictures speak 1,000 words. And that currently is the lab we have, and you can see. You can go to the next one. It is not in the best condition. It is the original lab that was there when it was put in, when the vocational wing was built on. So I'm guessing at least 30 years probably be the. We've done a few modifications for equipment over the years. Next one. But as you can see, it's not in the best shape. We can come in and do the demolition ourselves. That saves quite a bit of money. And then, of course, we can start doing other things from there. Next one, sir. So if you go look at the nice pictures I gave you with the red, that's what the nice lab looks like. So that is one that I was able to go take pictures of today. Go to the next one. You can see the equipment is modern. That is the one that's in Galax at Crossroads. The next one, sir. And there's some gentlemen, they had a full house in there today working on their coursework. So I was able to go in and observe them a little bit today and see what they were doing and get an idea of kind of, our bays are too small. They are grandfathered in because of what little bit we do, but we want a full program that's going to have a dual enrollment purpose to it. We're going to have a bigger base, and that's why we're going to have to tear down what we've got and redo them. The next one, sir. Possible partnerships we are working on. We are working with WCC, trying to get some equipment or other things paid for. Worked with WCC in the past. There's times so that they have money and different grants they can get to help us. And there's been other times I've been told we're going to get different grants, and I didn't get anything. So just putting it out there. And the president there is a great guy, but he's kind of handicapped. Their enrollment's been down, and he is kind of handicapped to what grants he can get through the state. So we have talked to them, communicated with them. We are working with them. At first, we were told, yeah, we think we can get you 10 or 12 of these. And now it's down to, we might be able to get you 3 or 6 of these. So I'm afraid to call him back. It may be down to 1 or 2 here pretty soon. So it seems to have decreased. But RPM, we have reached out. RPM, I'm sure most of you know, has got new ownership, and now we've got some connections up there that are trying to get us in to be able to speak to the new management. But so far, they've been very busy, and I haven't been able to have a sit-down meeting to be able to speak to those folks. But my guy, the person, my connection up there, is working very hard to try to get us in the same room, and we'd like to see what they can do for us. I mean, if they can just give us the metal to work on, scrap metal, that'd be worth a lot. Could they contribute? Would they give us a monetary donation towards this for equipment or for a renovation or whatever? So next one, sir. Evening classes also, we want to talk to them and WCC about providing an evening class for welding at the Cade Center for adults in the Twin Counties. It'd probably be anyone that's out of school over the age of 20, and the only specification is probably going to be for this class is you probably have to pass a background test or a background check, because there's certain folks we cannot have on school property, as you all can imagine. So that's going to be the only difference from that and any other regular WCC class. Next one, sir. And just so you can see kind of the request I'm making, which would cover a third of about everything we need, would be $100,000. And we would appreciate, on the behalf of the students of Grayson County, anything we could get towards this would be greatly appreciated in the future, because this is something that we can put kids to work. We've got, so in case you don't know, we started 2 years ago a program with RPM. We now have an internship program where we got kids getting hired. They're up there doing internships in their junior and senior year, and they're getting hired as soon. We actually had a signing last year, like a college football signing. It was pretty cool if you didn't see it on Facebook. But we really have a good communication system with them. We've had in the last 2 years. We're hoping we're going to continue that. But what we want to do is, once again, put more kids to work, keep more kids in Grayson County. Half the kids do not want to go to college. And usually about half the kids that go to college come home after the first year, unfortunately. That's just the way it is. So we've got other programs, other backups to be able to put students to work, making good money. I think this would be a worthwhile project for us to be able to move forward with. I know our machine shop class has put several kids to work up there at RPM in the last 2 years. They have started out making good money with good benefits. And there's other organizations too, not just RPM. I mean, there's a lot in Galax and in Carroll Hills with Withville that are always looking for welders. That's one of the questions I get when I meet people in the workforce. You got any welders? Well, no, not really. We've got somebody who has some experience. They'll take them even if they got a little bit of experience in training. So that's kind of in a nutshell. If I move too fast, I apologize. My girl's got a softball game at 5 o'clock, and if I'm late, I'm going to get hurt. So yeah. So
Glad we moved you up.
No, you're okay. I appreciate you jumping me to the front.
Questions? How many do you, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Now, how is the demand for welders? And I don't know what other programs you have, but let's say electricians and plumbers and other skilled trades.
I would actually rate it probably higher, because you just cannot find them. And that program today was full, and I would say every one of those folks are going to have a job before they walk out the door. I mean, it is just, RPM cannot find them right. They can't find electricians either. If you all remember, there's a scholarship right now for plumbers and electricians in Galax at Crossroads that was put in by Ms. Vaughn, because she couldn't find an electrician or a plumber. So she gave $250,000 to the scholarship to WCC for anybody wanting to get in the program. And we encourage our kids to get in these programs, because they're there. But it is really hard to find welding right now. And welders can only do it for so many years. I know it's really tough. It's tough. Most welders that do it, I think, end up becoming instructors to be able to show other folks how to do it. But the demand is very high. I will say that.
What do you, the kids who can take it now versus what your demand is? I mean, you have the demand to fill 12 bays or whatever it is that you're looking for.
We would, and the reason being is because between junior, you have to take this, you have to be, I think the age minimum is going to be 16 years old by state requirements. However, what we've done the last couple of years is Galax kids are now coming to us for our vocational programs. So we have opened that door, and that's gone on about 3 years now. And we've got kids in Galax that has increased our numbers in nursing, Navy ROTC, machine shop, several things we've got, cosmetology especially. So we have the numbers now. By having Galax kids come over, our numbers have jumped significantly. And I feel we could probably fill those 12 bags pretty easily. If not, at least probably 10 of them.
One thing I do want to add, Allegheny County has done something very similar. I think Bottomleys have donated a bunch of money several years ago, and they built a completely standalone welding shop facility. And it looks very much like the new training what that you're looking to do. And I actually went over and they had the night classes for the community. And I jumped the state line and went over there and signed up for that and did it. And it was really very good class. They had all the most up-to-date latest equipment. I got to use all kinds of stuff that I had no probably purpose or ability or financial ability to buy and use myself, but I know how to do it now. And, you know, I can make stuff and fix stuff now on my own. But something like this, I think would be a fantastic addition to our school system and our community, just from bringing, and I know personally kids who go to Allegheny County who went through that program and are now going to welding school for college or, you know, post high school, and are probably going to be making a whole lot of money.
So glad you brought that up, because I was really focused on just the relationship with the local businesses and preparing the kids as one way to keep the kids local, which was top keeping. For whatever reason, this is, in our area, this is something that they can do and make really good money enough to support a family and to start a family and stay here. I didn't even think about how it also ties into ag business. All these farms that Kevin's just talked, those people are paying welders, or they need someone on their farm to know how to weld.
Yeah.
And that just ties right in.
I've had the mobile service before where they've come to the house.
Yeah.
To fix stuff.
Yeah, just to me, that's just an additional benefit.
On top of RPM, as superintendent said, even if they go to Withville, they may live here, pay their taxes here.
Yeah,
Everything
there's a lot
here.
of people that live
They're
here
gonna
that
drive.
work in Pulaski.
Right.
Yeah,
They're gonna drive there, we can still keep them.
Kevin?
Go ahead, sir.
Do you mind if I interject? When my brother taught in that ag shop down there, he would receive requests frequently, not just from at that time Core Fitness, the utility trailer. They would call him up and say, do you have one or two kids that are ready to go almost every year? And, you know, he made it a focal point to train them the right way so that when those opportunities came up, he got this phone call, so he'd have a name he could give them. And I know several of our Grayson kids went to work at these places, not just in the county, but utility, Dublin, and others.
It would seem like if one of the bays was available, there'd be revenue opportunities to, you know, hire out somebody that you know how to weld, but you don't have the equipment, so could you pay so much an hour to use it, or anyway, I'm sure there's other revenue opportunities.
There could be, absolutely. We'd be able to do that. I think the evening class would be good for adults, especially adults that want to change fields.
I will say that when I hung up the phone with Todd and turned to my wife and said this, her first question was, can I do it? She's been wanting to take welding, I don't know why, she's been wanting to take welding for the last 5 years. I got a welder, I don't know. Justine, any questions?
No, I had a similar thought to you.
Yeah. We don't want to take such.
Come on, Justin, you know you want to learn how to weld. You can write a book about it. You can write a book about it.
Did you say that the end result, they would be certified by the end?
Yeah, if we're able to get an instructor that has the certification for dual enrollment, they actually could have a dual enrollment certification. And that's what we would be shooting for with WCC. We want somebody to come in and do dual enrollment, so they get college coursework. And then if they want to go on go to the next level at WCC or at a 4-year school, they can do that.
But it's sort of one of those things, you gotta have this in place before you can.
Yeah. Well, right now, for us to do this, as you can see the pictures, we're outdated. We're not in compliance of what we need to be. It's pretty much what we've been told, and that's been by the architect and the engineer both.
I'd just like to say thank you for thinking ahead like this and helping the community.
Well,
Thanks for coming.
I appreciate that.
I'm sorry. Any questions?
I abstain.
Yeah,
That's what I
exactly,
said.
yeah.
He's
I
just
mean, you
sitting
can ask
over.
questions. We may abstain at some point, but if you have questions.
I've discussed both sides of this already.
Okay. The plan now would be, we'd love for you to put together something with RPM if you can, lunch, Todd and I'd like to go with you and talk and see, you know, can we all work together to make this happen? Can we work somewhere where kids are guaranteed jobs and numbers, whatever it is? We come up with some sort of, something with any, it'd be as simple as you said, it's just materials, but whatever it is, we ask for the moon and see what we get. But anyways, over that next 30 days, we do that, come back. We don't need you back for the next one. We'll discuss it internally and what we want to be able to give, and then we'll have you back. Lost count. We'll have you back in May, and we'll give you an answer. And I know that that's long, but it'll take a little while for us to get it done anyway. So,
In the meantime, we're already starting the project.
Right.
We're already going to go ahead and do part of the demolition, start to get the materials together. And, of course, you gotta have plans. Unfortunately, that's where they get you. You gotta have plans for the architect and engineer.
What's the goal timeline?
To be ready for next school year. Is it? Yeah. I hope so. Knock on wood, but I think we can get it done. Maintenance department's pretty good.
thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you all. Thank you.
I have jumped all around on this thing, but I'm coming back to you now for financials.
Chris, can I tell you something real quick?
Yes.
It's my fault that Steve and Kit are not here. That I texted her, she sent all this stuff, so I assumed she was good to go for this, she wants to meet with you all in April.
I got
So
it.
my
That's
apologies,
fine.
my fault.
We'll just make sure, if you'll ask Linda, again, just to put her on the April one, that's fine. I'm gonna move to the financials if you don't mind. Wait, that's something.
No, I just wanna get my note on my.
Oh.
Okay. All right, you have before you the monthly financials as of today, well, as of this morning. Okay, the last meeting was on 2/20, so basically the only thing that has changed, line 86, 87, and 88, which is Oak Hall rent, LGIP interest, and your Grayson Millworks payment. The available balance as of 3/19/2024 is $791,066.67. There also was one other change. The LGIP interest had not posted as of 2/20 at the date of the last meeting, so that line 82 also has been added since 2/20. Didn't really identify the exact date it was added, but it was after 2/20.
I'm gonna say something that hasn't happened yet. I have no questions.
What?
Yeah, it makes sense. I've been looking at it from the beginning to make sure I hadn't, that's why I put it with. No, I'm kidding it.
Well, I don't know if you noticed this, but I included you on the email that I sent to Linda, so you had all day to review just.
I did.
the
And I, would take a moment, and I know that Nikki is never one to be shy to tell me that most other EDAs have their own account. And she is here, I guess, on her good graces, so I appreciate you. We can truly, with Lisa in the past, and we say with you now, thank you for this and everything that you go through for us. So I
Oh,
appreciate it.
absolutely. And it's gonna get a little bit more intensive with ARS.
I believe it's gonna get a lot.
So
That's
we'll
why I talked
definitely-
nice to you today.
Yeah, exactly, I know. I do
I was
believe
just
it.
buttering you up because we're gonna need another spreadsheet next month.
Oh, I know.
So and with that, and if there's not any questions, if anyone wants to make a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept the financials as written. And reported.
We have a second. All right. All those in favor say aye. Any opposed? All right, the last piece is the ARS, acquire, renovate, sell. We've talked significantly about this program in the past. We had a meeting on March 11th. That meeting, just to tell you, Jimmy Moss with Mount Rogers Planning District Commission was here. Sam Hinks with Virginia Housing, Shelley Woods with Virginia Housing, Sherry Miles, Program Manager with DHCD, Mitch Smith was there, Nikki Edwards was there, Jada Black with Zoning and Planning, Jordan Atwood, HUD, I think he's different now, is that correct? He's with HUD Housing now, and Todd Kennedy and myself were all present. ARS, again, acquire, renovate, sell, where we would acquire property blighted properties, undervalued properties, whatever it is that we see as a value to the county. We're gonna try to find areas that we can clean up and then turn around, sell to first-time home buyers and make the county better in some way, and also giving these younger people that we're talking about trying to keep here an ability to go out and get a first-time home in a cleaned up area and in something that is they're able to afford through a number of, I mean, I could go through some of the numbers, unbelievable benefits to them if they go through this program. To the tune of, I don't have the DHDC programs to the tune of upwards of $50,000.
It's incredible.
I mean, it's just.
What's
I think
available.
there was 3 times Nikki said, "What?"
Actually, at one point I said they're lying.
Yeah.
They're lying, 'cause they
Um,
basically will give money to applicants, which is.
Yeah, the right
10 to
applicants for the
15%
right
of the down
property.
payment for first-time home buyers with no interest, no repayment. They have to live in the house for 10 years and then it's forgiven. I mean, there's things that, and these are not tax dollars.
I'm glad you said that, sorry. I really, really like that they tied in that incentive
10 years.
for them to stay in the area. So I'm not just gonna provide a home for someone that just wants to get it and get all that money and then sell it. They've got to stay in it it's to become their home for 10 years. That incentive is built in and then that's forgiven. That's a big deal.
Yeah, and that's, they put a lien on the home for 10 years and then it's forgiven after that. Then there's a savings club, which is somehow, I don't know this voodoo, but the homeowner puts $1,000 in and it's matched through Virginia Housing for $10,000
Crazy.
on top of that. And so, Sam Hinks made a very important statement during this, and that is that these are not taxpayer dollars that are being used. VA housing makes their own money. And so, I want to make sure that people,
It may not be local taxpayer money, but it might be state.
that is a great question. Which,
No, when he said no taxpayer money, I would imagine
It's no
I
local,
think they,
no cost of local taxpayers.
while they do charge an interest rate, so they're earning interest on their loans, albeit lower interest rate.
Right.
Be a good question for all
Or a
the
state
rest
funded agency, right?
Maybe for staffing, but not for the loans. They could be state funded for a portion of it, but I believe
What
there's a
is the initial,
separate
there
company.
had to be a money,
are they part of UHCD?
there had to be initial money draw that came from that, initial funding.
For VA.
You should have been in the ARS meeting.
What's that?
You should have been in the ARS meeting.
I was somewhere, I thought, that doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah,
Response, Nikki.
Yeah, but it's something we can ask, but it's not any local taxpayers.
They're saying it won't,
Yeah.
it won't cost us anything to use their money.
First-time home buyer is actually pretty loose term. You cannot have lived in a house you own for the past 36 months to be a first-time home buyer. So you don't have to truly be a first-time home buyer. It seems like 55,000, is that what? Take that off the record, sorry. Cannot have lived in a house you own for the past 36 months. Their point is having enough money to get started should not normally be the problem if you're going through VA housing. So regardless of all that, what do we want to do? I would like to propose that we start looking at properties within the EDA. One of the properties that we discussed, there's a couple things I want to leave here with. One is there is a property that we're interested in through that discussion. I want to talk about that. The other piece is, let's say we leave here today and a property becomes available tomorrow. How as a group do we make that happen without calling a meeting to get everybody together, and who's allowed to do that? I don't want to be the person to just say, yes, we're buying that. And so is that chair plus one? Is that chair plus whatever it is? We have to figure that out so that we understand, because I think we'll lose some of these if we wait 30 days and then come back and we have a discussion and we go back to them at that point. So I'd like to come out of here with that also in the next 30 or so minutes. The property that we currently would like to take a look at and discuss internally here.
May I
is-
ask a
Yep,
question?
Go ahead.
Do you wanna do this in open session?
You think I would know the answer to that? I think the question, Mitch, before I say that out loud, to say this out loud, the property is,
Oh, because of the problem.
Well, no, just because you also don't wanna raise the flag to the person that you're gonna be
Yeah, I don't
either
think we
competing
talked
with or.
specifically about
Parcels.
the parcels or names.
one more time, they don't give me this, they didn't give me my thing.
One more time.
Where's my thing I can yell at?
Yeah,
Oh, thank you. And
yeah.
it's not to hit, it's to throw it at people. No, so you're saying every time we wanna get well, we have to go into, close it until it's purchased? And then we can
It's something
discuss
we're
it.
gonna have to iron out. So maybe today we're just talking in generalities of how
I thought that's what
we're gonna set this up. We don't really have to
don't
name properties. We don't.
Let me play devil's advocate on that, and that is that it's taxpayer money and it's tax, and we're spending it.
Well,
We,
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
but
you
what we
wanna
have to be
spend it.
careful of, we have to
You-
protect the anonymity of the owner of the property,
Yeah.
not at this point.
And you also wanna get a good price, and if you send up the flagpole that you wanna buy it, the price will automatically go up.
But we'll have to navigate that and see what is the best way to do that.
all right, meeting adjourned. No, what's that?
Is it just a?
Yeah, no, it's a great conversation. I don't, and it was timely because I was just about to spew.
Oh,
the-
I know.
Oh, I know, you're right on it. I mean, I was like, yeah, it's that.
Yeah, yeah.
Wait. Let's say there was a property. I literally have no idea. So how to move that forward in each, as we go. I guess maybe we don't
I
talk
think you
about
just
it.
talk about the property and not mention the parcel number or the name, don't you, is that, you think that's okay? So,
Yeah, as long as you don't name anything, the property or the parcel or the owner or anything like that.
Okay.
Just talking in generalities.
In generalities here, we have.
Or you can go into closed session.
You can.
Oh, well, you modify the agenda.
Yes, that's the agenda.
I think what you're after, Mr. Chairman, is, get you and someone else or
Yeah.
two people from this EDA to where you can move forward on properties that might come up.
I think, right, it doesn't truly matter, I guess, each
So
of
it
you
don't really
can
matter
come
about the property.
and we can talk about what it is, and if we want to, if someone wants to make a motion to go in, so we can talk about it. Let's talk about how we buy properties. Let's pivot for a second and how we purchase properties. We leave here today, at 5:30, and, tomorrow morning, a property becomes available. How do we want to make that? I get the call, this property is available, we want to, does the EDA have any interest in that? Some of that can be even forget that, we can even go and look at tax rolls if we'd like and find out, the delinquent taxes, and these properties may be available, and we can go through some of that and do that. What are you guys comfortable with? Again, I'm not comfortable with anybody saying go do it. Hopefully you're not either, for me. But if I can say, we're all on a group text, if I can say, hey, I've got this, anybody want to look at it with me at X time, and as long as we get 1 extra, 2 extra, what is it that everybody's comfortable with, so that we can make pretty quick decisions, and if we're gonna go look at it, I put it out, if somebody wants to make that, go with me, that's fine. If I can't go, and what is it?
The other question, would you need a realtor to be with you?
I don't think,
I wouldn't
Not
feel
all
comfortable
cases.
freezing.
Could be cases where you did, there could be cases where you
I
didn't.
don't think you do. Let's talk generics for a moment. A property could be available to us with just the basis of, we have to pay off the $20,000 back taxes on it. Well, that property is certainly gonna be worth more than $20,000 to us if we got it. So we just have to make that decision and make it quick. And it could be that we need to make the decision before it goes to the courthouse steps. There's that possibility. So I'm open to suggestions. I would, I think it has to be chair or vice chair plus. And that way, if I'm, I can't be in Hawaii where I was last time and a property come up and we say, well, we'll wait 7 days. Maybe it's not available. So the vice chair is available to go and plus one. I don't know what that is. I'm leaving it to you. You're smarter and better looking than me.
Your doctor tells us how to do this.
I was thinking, you tie it to a dollar amount. If it's under X dollar amount, then you only need. But I don't know.
The chair has the ability for X. Chair plus one has the ability for X. The whole board has to go to X. I don't know.
Do we have the ability to set these guidelines, or does it have to come from board supervisors?
I wasn't at the meetings.
Board supervisors has already signed off on the ERS program.
And this
We're at
is-
liberty to do whatever, like as far as setting up, say, if there's just two of us required to go make a deal.
And this is our money.
We can act as a board, if we agree on the guidelines we want to set forth, set a group of people to act for the board. I understand as we could do that. Even the lady from it, ARS, said that had happened other places. Maybe we can get in touch with her and see exactly their protocol.
I don't mean to dismiss what the board means in this, but, the board appoints us, the board has approved the program, and when I met with them, they knew what we were looking at. I don't think that we need to go to the board for any of that.
Yeah, I think it's.
I mean, as long as it's not written down that we have to do that, that's just what I'm asking. I don't particularly want to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I
We
think
don't
that
have to.
I think we're clear to go and do, we could be as dumb as saying, hey, we'll buy it. If we have 800,000, we'll buy 6. I don't think that's what we want to do, but I think that, those are things to your point. If you say, let's set a limit where we have to bring it back into executive session regardless, I'd rather lose a property than have anybody go out and spend 200 grand on something and all of us not know.
As much as I hate social media, but it's not really social media. But I noticed like when Linda sends out mass texts, it's usually pretty quick responses. At least you get enough. You get 4 out of 7, maybe something like that, to where you can reach 4 out of 7. I don't know if you can send enough information through a text, maybe pictures. We found this, and we can buy it for this. I'm just talking.
Well, again, we could just have a quick, hey,
Don't wanna do a
here's a
Zoom
property, it's X dollars, this is what we're thinking. We're gonna have a meeting at, 2 o'clock to discuss it, who can jump on, and if we get a few people to jump on, we can just share everything and go. It's just, what is everybody comfortable with?
That might be the.
I think like for our sake, we at least need a quorum established
Uh-huh.
to make the decision,
Yeah.
just to save everybody's butt. 'Cause even if we just set 2 aside, well, word gets around, well, hey, these 2 were just going out and buying property, they're not even getting a quorum of all the members.
So it'd be like emergency meeting,
I mean, that's what I
like we did the other day
Like
for
the
the
day for the sheriff,
purchase. And make sure you can get a quorum. You feel like
I
that?
would think that within a day or 2, we could have,
Yeah.
and we're not gonna lose something in a day.
No.
And if we do, we did need it, but,
And, I just happened to be, I didn't want to do Zoom, but I was coming from town, so I came up here and you guys were on Zoom, so either way, you can be here or you can be on Zoom. And, that way, he said it protects the board, protects you as the chair.
let's
Because you
just-
have a quorum.
about that.
I think that's what we all want, is protect me.
Yeah. But, and then it informs the board, but it doesn't, we can't operate month to month in a program like this and be successful. So we're gonna have to.
No, it's gonna have to be meetings in between, and
And
those
that's the
are.
best way to do it. And then
So, group text, quorum, set up an emergency meeting, quorum, as long as a quorum can be there, it's either you or me that has to chair it. If I'm available, we'll do it, and as long as we have a quorum, or if I'm not and you're available next quorum, we do it. And then we can move forward.
It's Zoom or present, either one.
Yes.
I think so. Can you do Zoom on your phone?
Yeah.
Somebody's gonna have to
Download
set
the
me
app,
up.
download the app.
Okay.
Actually, so we're not using Zoom anymore.
I was gonna say,
Oh,
it, I think
they're
I have to
using
use
Teams.
Teams. To download the Teams
Okay,
app.
Teams, we'll do
But
Teams.
Teams is also on your phone.
Okay.
Not his phone. He asked me how to use a photo booth on Saturday night at a wedding, so he's not, trust me, it's not,
So.
said push here, Todd, come on.
The way we would find property, you mentioned maybe looking at taxes. Is there other ways that we should be looking to find property?
One of the things I really liked about this is I think it targets properties that, cause I've been an investor in the past. So I know people might say, well, hey, the EDA is buying up property that I could have bought up and flipped and fixed. Well, one of the targets, not just the target, is properties that have been sitting there. Investors haven't bought, haven't done anything with them. They're blighted. Nobody's doing anything with them. There's usually a reason. Like there's some kind of deeding process, or there's some family member that didn't want to pay this or this. And then you can get involved with those and you can start helping fix those problems. And then we have the vehicle to do it, and the means and the opportunity with the money and the ARS. And top of that, well, we can help somebody, first time home buyer, get in a house.
Really attractive. I mean,
Yeah.
would we ask, could you ask a realtor to say, what are some properties that have been on the market for beyond?
And they have to be undervalued. Now, that term is, again, as loose as first time home buyer,
Yeah.
but it has to be undervalued in some way, and I don't know that in this market there's a lot of undervalued property out there, but.
I don't know how everybody else would feel. I don't know if I would you be open to if realtors were bringing us, you're gonna open up a can of worms. Because any realtors can bring us to buy this, buy this, buy this.
Yeah.
You know, is that the route we want to take, or just want to first start looking for?
And commission.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean.
I think we all just need to each individually put as much into it as you would like, honestly. I mean,
Yeah,
like,
just-
you know, if you like in your spare time, scrolling through.
Or
real
to see
estate
houses
markets,
Yeah,
in
and
the
I look,
area that
and
you.
for me, I like our county to look nice.
Yeah.
So I'm looking for properties that don't look nice, because that, house profiling, but I'm looking for stuff as I come into town or out of town or on the main. Not that I'd be open to buy something off the road. I think there's low hanging fruit as you travel your routes, stuff you see because other people coming into town and leaving town see it. And then gradually, you watch the TV shows, you start fixing a property too, the neighbors start fixing their stuff. You know, it just.
There is, if we go back in meeting minutes also, I don't know if they're still available, but there's 4 properties that Deb put this grant in with originally, and we can look and see if those are still available. The other thing is, you know, that I'd love to focus on, if we can, is as Todd just said, making an impact in an area. Instead of we pick this house in the middle of this and then go to this house and over here, but there's still 3 more that could have been done right here. Now here, if you pick all 3 or 4, you've made a difference in the community right there and made them all, you know, made it all look good. So, I mean, but there are, I think when we looked at that originally, there was one here in Independence / Elk Creek right on the line. There were 3 in Freeze that went into the original application.
Mr. Chairman, before you move on, is that gonna be by consensus, or are you gonna make a motion second? Because I have your thought, as a property comes up, an emergency meeting will be called, a group text, either by Zoom or being present, of which a quorum will make any decisions.
Yeah, I think we were still brainstorming and.
I would like to have if everybody's good with that, I think we have a motion to
Now,
those
one thing
exact
you need to
words.
remember, if you call a special meeting or emergency meeting, I think you have to definitely let the press, there's a difference. Are there a difference between a special meeting and an emergency meeting?
How did we do the last one?
Both the same requirements.
How did you do the last one since you let me know on Friday and we did it on Tuesday?
3 day notice.
We do it on 3 days.
You gotta do a 3 day
So we're
notice.
gonna see if we can operate.
You gotta let the press, yeah,
So
so.
to see if we can operate within that.
That's why
Well, we go back to the same problem, right? And that is that the minute we get on that meeting, anybody can join and anybody can, and now you're back to, you know, to notifying. So does that meeting have to be an executive session?
That portion of it does.
We're talking specifically
about
about
specific problem.
certain property and certain people.
And you have to keep the
You
same
still have to
guidelines for executive?
You still have to advertise that for a.
Emergency meeting,
It's a
yes.
special emergency meeting.
Like that for me,
Uh,
yeah, but
Yeah.
you just,
Then you
send
just
it
go
over and
into
you just go into closed session and they can hang out.
The closed session rules. The word applies.
I feel like it's something that we're gonna start out and we're gonna find ways to make it
Yeah,
better
I've seen it as you go.
as we find
Oh,
out.
yeah. What was your question?
I was just gonna say that do those rules still apply if you get consensus via email? You know, if it's just an email back and forth. Or
Well,
do you
that's
need to
fine.
have,
Can we
full
get a
discussion?
quorum, you're saying, can we get a quorum without having an advertised meeting?
Make that almost smell like illegal meat.
Okay.
That's what we need to know. We don't wanna do anything illegal.
Hold on, I'll write that down. If you come more than once, you're gonna find out that you know what I'm gonna say.
You're all in a meeting that you're gonna come out of and probably make a decision. So
Well, we're gonna spend money in that,
you're
and so
gonna, yeah,
it's
you're
gotta
gonna
be.
do that on email.
So it sounds like 3 days is gonna be something we're gonna have
That's
to
what it's
work,
gotta be.
something we're gonna have to, we may lose a property, that's just the way it's gonna
Yeah.
be.
Why don't you let us call the EDA in, Marion
Or calls, yes.
and find out how they,
Jimmy, just figure out what Moss has done.
What their process is.
Whatever.
yeah, what their process is, and then maybe we can articulate, like, write it up and.
I still think the problem with that, I guess that's not a problem, if we, do we wanna put that in place in case we find something in what we just said, in case we find something in the next 30 days we want,
Yeah,
then we can.
I think we could make a motion to agree to what we just talked about, put that out there and vote on it, and then we start with that, and if we can come up with something better, we
amend
fine tune it.
He has read that specifically, so if anybody needs to hear it again, let him know, but if we wanna make a motion to be.
I'd like to make the motion that we brainstorm that the 3-day process of sending out a text for an emergency meeting so we could advertise to have a quorum in a closed session meeting 3 days after. Basically what you said, right?
I started saying, you wanted to-
No, I wanna read it the way, go ahead.
if a property comes up as of right now, until we find out from Jimmy the correct
These will
procedure.
be our SOPs.
If property comes up, then the emergency meeting will be called by a group text by Zoom or being present, of which quorum will make the decision at that time.
Or do we have to say?
That's what I'm,
Do we have to say in executive session? Or are we okay?
we could just go into executive session.
Yeah, you can come in open executive session, but then come out and make a decision
Okay,
in open session.
that's my motion.
Do we have a second? Second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Chair is aye also.
And Mr. Sheriff, who do you want to call Jimmy Moss for pursuit?
I'll call.
You want to call?
Just a little bit more on details on this. The ARS program gives us $60,000 per house or unit that we want. If we bought a piece of property and we were able to put 2 units on it, we would get 60,000 times 2 for each house or unit. 53,500 of that is used for construction. No payment, no interest until sold. Then we pay back. We pay that back. The other money goes to rehab specialist fee, acquisition, renovation, sale. There's different things.
Was Deb still on there?
I don't think she ever was.
Was she ever on there? I know at one time we were talking about grant money that was to be matching money, and that may be that ARS money, but there may be grant money that could go with that 60,000.
There is because Sam Hinks said that EDA Housing or other places will also give you a deconstruction grant on top of
But
that.
in the back of my head somewhere here, we received a $200,000 grant that would link into ARS and blighted properties.
I think you're confused. Well, no, I think it is, but basically it was, the original cost was it gave us up to $250,000. The 60,000, they originally just said, we'll give you 4 times that for right now.
Gotcha,
We'll
okay.
approve that.
It's one and the same.
Yeah. Yeah, they approved us up front for 250, but it can go more.
Okay, perfect.
New construction is something I did not know. New construction can happen during this as well. So it's not something that we just have to buy a house and renovate. Really, we're renovating is not in that place. In that case, the renovate would be cleaning up the property. If we just bought a property and we put a new structure on it, we'd be cleaning up the property.
So the land does have to be undervalued in some sense?
And again, Jimmy says this is a very broad.
Flexible and
What was that
fluid.
appraiser coming out and say, oh, it's worth $1,000 more than what it's in this.
So what we would do is we would say, we like this, we like this property. It would be a lot of wheels turning at once, because we would talk to Jimmy and say, this is a property that we like, and he could give us an idea of, yeah, even in that 3 days while we're waiting for our meeting to happen, he can tell us, yeah, I would move forward on that if I were you, got no problems. And then we'll know by that time.
Like you said, that's gonna take a lot of pressure off us too. Jimmy, who is the man,
Yeah, he would.
is gonna come look at the property and say, hey, I do this or no, I wouldn't. So it's not like we're just gonna be out on our own. He's gonna, and Mitch brought this up in that meeting, Jimmy is gonna basically work with this board in this capacity, and that's huge. We talked about who would be the boots on the ground and all that. He's the boots on the ground.
He's gonna get into contractors
That's a big
and
deal.
quotes and all these things for us as part of that,
The county pays Mount Rogers, planning district so much money, every year in the budget. And they help us with things, and Aaron graciously said if Jimmy's willing to do it, then he can. They help us on this project.
And he said in that meeting he was.
That's a huge,
Yeah,
that's a
it's a
huge.
huge resource.
Well, they're also getting $4,500
Yeah.
for property.
Yeah.
Most properties that have gone through this program, wherever, are they already occupied or are they usually vacant properties?
We can't
He talked
displace.
like he occupied them very quickly. There's a list usually if people want to go in.
But he means
No,
fire.
Oh, they occupied.
Looking at
So
something.
one of the things that the board signed, one of the,
He wants to
it can be that we bought, but one of the things the board signed was there is no displacement of personnel on this property. So we can't go in by eminent domain and take any properties. So to answer your question, I don't know the 40% were occupied and a bunch were vacant. The one we're currently looking at is vacant. But it doesn't mean that somebody doesn't want to sell the property and get out quickly. And
Yeah.
Heck, all of us get those letters in the mail where they're willing to give you $24,000 for your house to sell it tomorrow. All right. With that said, that's the way the program goes. I would love to, in our last 15 minutes, if anyone wants to make the motion, amend the agenda to do a 15-minute or 10-minute closed session, talk about something that we're looking at now, come out of that, and just with the understanding that we're okay moving forward. But it's up to you guys whether you want to spend the next 10 minutes or so.
Can I say one thing before you do that?
Yep.
Okay, so at the Friends of Ag breakfast that we did on this morning, she had the Southeast Regional Community Assistance Project person, group of people, Brian Brown, come and talk. CIRCAP, I guess, and then he had another acronym that followed his name that didn't know, follow it. There was a bunch of acronyms, but what he does, and I had a good conversation with him afterwards, is he provides basically business services, professional counseling, all kinds of list of services, some grants, some loans, to established businesses, new businesses, and it sounded like just from conversations with him that they would be a good resource for maybe individuals who would come to us who are creating new businesses, maybe not have a strong business acumen historically, to go through this as maybe part of if they're requesting a grant or a loan, we could potentially tie into some of his resources and say, yes, we'll give you this grant, but you have to attend these training courses. And it's like cash flow analysis and, budgeting, business plans. And he showed me some of the sample stuff they've done. Really good work, looked like, just from the 10 minutes or not 5 minutes I looked at it. But I think that they maybe talked about bringing him here at some point to talk to the EDA. So just wanted to bring it up and say that might be a potential, something to talk about down the road. But it was Brian Brown is the guy's name, so.
Yes, everybody does have them.
I don't know if I had enough to go around.
So do we need to make a motion to change the agenda to go, I'll make a motion to add to the agenda to go into closed session to discuss some private personal matters not open to the public.
I'll say about 5 words too many.
Mitchell, clean it up, he makes you look good.
All those in favor of executive session, say aye. Any opposed? Give it a minute and I'll use the restroom and then we'll do that. If that's all right. Get people out that don't want to speak. If everyone, I think, can say everyone state.
You make the motion, Tom.
Todd.
Hey, y'all, can I get your stuff back so Linda won't be quite so mad? And this will save her, this Kit Marshall thing, that'll save her from having to do it again next month. She might not like me.
Hold on. She's number 7, right? Or 6? 6. Yeah.
Did you close that off?
I am now.
By the way, is Angela's restaurant